What's good to YouTube? It's your boy, the Casual Nerd Day here, and I'm back with another video. Today I'm gonna react or kind of give my review of episode 1 of She-Hulk. So I'm gonna start off with my first thoughts to the show. Honestly, this show is absolutely hilarious to me. So the show is obviously marketed as a sitcom lawyer show, and that's really what you get in this first episode, and I love that about this show and kind of what Marvel's been doing recently, right? Everything has been its own genre type of film or TV show, and then they kind of always just let the creators of the show kind of do their thing, and I think that's what the pattern of Phase 4 has been, and I love that. And with She-Hulk, we continue that, right? Again, it's a comedy from the start off with her actually being a lawyer and just going over to work with her friend, and like, you know, we're seeing the lawyer side of Jennifer Walters, aka She-Hulk, and it's like, okay, yeah, this is dope. And I was like really drawn in for the moment. And then we have the first moment where she breaks the fourth wall, which is a whole thing of what She-Hulk does in the comic books.
About that, it's true. I am a Hulk. And I'm guessing you're not going to be able to focus on this fun lawyer show until you know all about that. So let me get you up.
So I saw a post on Twitter and someone was saying how this actually wasn't supposed to be the first episode. This actually was like a later episode in the season. I think it was supposed to be the second episode of the season. And after they had a couple of like people view the show early, they were like, actually, I think this would fit better as the first episode. And then I guess Disney and Marvel was like, actually, yeah, we do agree with that. This show did hit a little bit more with people and resonate better with people. So they put this as the first episode, and I think it worked. But it also had like a little downer still. But I think that's more of a later half of the show than does the beginning. But we'll get into that later. Other than that, though, the show was great. Again, like I said, I was really engaged just with the Jennifer Walters side of She-Hulk. But then we get the origin story, and we see her with her cousin Bruce, and they're having a whole conversation about Captain America's virginity, which is a whole nother funny thing with the post-credit scene of this episode. But yeah, like we're seeing their relationship, and that was dope to see. So the chemistry between Mark Ruffalo and Tatiana Maslany it hits from the start, and that's another great thing I always love about Marvel. Like, they really know how to cast people well, and like the chemistry always conveys immediately in the show and TV shows or whatever it is. And again, like I said, like you see this with episode 1 with them. Then they end up crashing because they see a ship from Sakaar come. One of my first big questions for this show is I wonder, well, maybe not for the show, but for Hulk in general, is like where they want to take him, because in the comics there is a storyline which is basically like the World Hulk is where Hulk has a son from another planet, and that son does come back and is looking for his dad on planet Earth, and he's like trying to kill him, and it's a whole thing. So I wonder if that was this kind of thing they're trying to set up with Hulk. I don't know. We'll get to that later in the season. But like I said, again, She-Hulk or Jennifer Walters and Bruce's chemistry and relationship worked well for me in this very first episode. I think one of my favorite parts of this episode was the montage, but then it also was like my least favorite part. So the reason why I was saying earlier was like, I think if they did, I'm not sure if this, what I said before, was official, but if it is true that this wasn't supposed to originally be the first episode, I did kind of feel in a montage, because the pacing of it was super duper fast, and I think that was cool, and I love the music and everything. Like, that was all dope to me. But what kind of like made me like about it was that it seemed like they wanted to rush Hulk out of the story. But then I remember in like the way they did the marketing and all the ads and the trailers for the show, that it seemed like Mark Ruffalo at least gonna have, or Bruce Banner gonna have more of an appearance in the show, at least maybe another episode. So I'm wondering if like how they're gonna bring him back, and I'm hoping they don't make this a Hulk show and just they do keep more of a She-Hulk show. But like I said before, I am excited to see more of the lawyer side of the thing, and I think that's where the show is gonna go narratively, right? I think a point of her learning everything so quickly with Hulk, not also to show like how she's different from Hulk, but also just show how her hero journey is going to be different from Hulk. I think the reason why they had this speed montage in this very first episode of her learning the powers of She-Hulk so quickly was more to show what that her hero struggle or her hero journey is going to be, struggling with balancing the two lives, kind of like the Peter Parker thing. I mean, I guess this is every superhero's problem, is like once they become a public hero, they have to balance their personal life and then their real life. But I think with Jennifer Walters is going to be a little bit different, because the place where she's working, not only she will end up protecting heroes and enhanced individuals, but also she's going to have to be a hero in saving either other enhanced individuals or fighting against enhanced individuals. And I think that's what they were kind of hinting at with Titania at the end of the show, and which is another thing that bothered me a little bit, which I makes me believe what I saw on Twitter. I'm pretty sure the person read it from article and put it on Twitter. But regardless, the reason why I'm starting to believe the whole thing that this may not been the original first episode they wrote is because that whole like last minute or two with Titania in the courtroom definitely seemed extremely rushed, and I think that was a bit weird. So I wonder if the first episode, which we'll see in the second episode, is more just showing Jennifer Walters just straight up as a lawyer and as a human, and just seeing how her day-to-day life is as a lawyer is, and then the whole Titania thing happens, and then that's how we build off. Again, like I don't want, it's the very first episode, so I don't want to guess and like put too much opinion on the show and think like, oh, the show's gonna be a downer. I think the best part of the show is gonna be a lawyer part, and that's what the thing that they keep trying to harp onto us, is that just lawyer shows. I think one of the trailers they dropped, Loki had the Law and Order theme music to it, so it was like, yeah, the lawyer part of the show is really gonna matter. I know a lot of people complaining about humor, the MCU, especially in the last phase, it seemed like everything just wanted to be funny. I know a lot of people didn't like Thor: Love and Thunder, but She-Hulk in the comics is a funny character, and it's like, oh yeah, just because it's a comic doesn't mean it has to be in the movie. True, but again, that's just changing the identity of the character itself, so it's like that's something they couldn't really avoid. And she is funny. Like, dude, I was dead laughing. I think this is the most I've laughed in an MCU. Well, actually I won't say that, because Love and Thunder I was laughing a lot, and Thor Ragnarok. But these are things like, I think I feel like when Marvel, I think the thing people are getting confused or misunderstanding, or maybe not even misunderstanding. I think opinion people are not getting is, yes, sometimes Marvel and serious movies do make jokes, and they do tend to put more jokes than most movies, especially superhero movies do. But I will say they're also trying to create comedies now. So it's like, yes, before when we had the Age of Ultrons, and I personally like Age of Ultron, by the way, or even Guardians of the Galaxy, or any like movies like that where they were just trying to be funny. I think when they were making those other movies, I think purpose of it was just trying to be funny. Now I think they're just trying to make comedy films and TV shows. So it's like we gotta start adapting and evolving with Marvel as they're evolving. We can't keep giving them the same criticism we were giving them back in the day, because now they're trying to be different. Now they're trying to be more creative than, all right, let's just follow the horror story plots of the comic books, or let's do the stuff that everybody knows these characters do. No, now it's time for them to be different, and I think that's why we're getting characters like She-Hulk. I think another big question for me is kind of where this show gonna end up going, right? I want to know why they want her to be a lawyer. Obviously because she's an enhanced individual, I think it would make more sense to have an enhanced individual protecting other enhanced individual in the courtroom. I think that totally makes sense, but I want to know why this particular firm company wants it, because again, it's a Marvel show. There's gonna have to be a villain, and it seems like whoever is in charge of a lawyer firm is probably gonna be the big villain of the show, and is working behind the scenes trying to manipulate things. I think that's why the Titania thing was more like timely, or her breaking through the wall and everything. If that is what we're going with, if that's the story part we're going down, I'm excited for it, because it's her lawyer skills are gonna discover and help save her instead of her super powers, right? She's not gonna be able to just beat up whoever her big bad is. No, she's gonna probably have to not only defeat them in the streets, but also in the courtroom. I think that's gonna be a dope little storyline for us to follow throughout the show. Another thing, obviously the big thing that was in the ad, is Daredevil, right? We know Daredevil is also a lawyer, but also is a superhero, and his two lives are very separated. Now, She-Hulks are together. So I wonder if they're going to play it as Daredevil discovers her as a lawyer and is like, ooh, you're working with bad people, so you must be in on a bad thing. Matt Murdock, the lawyer, may learn about She-Hulk, and then maybe Matt Murdock is like, ooh, you're working with bad people, so me as Daredevil will come fight you as She-Hulk to see what's really going on. And maybe that's how they start off their friendship and relationship. I think that would be a dope way narratively to put in Daredevil without forcing it, and also flowing within story. But yeah, there's so many other things that like the show could develop. I also want to know how they're going to try to connect this to the rest of the universe. I know in Ms. Marvel, the last Disney Plus series we got, they did say mutation, and that was like the first like hint, at least I think it's the first hint at mutants in MCU. So I wonder if the show is going to indulge more on the mutant word than it is on the enhanced word. I know that's enhanced has been the word Marvel has been using before they used mutant, but now that they said mutation in Ms. Marvel, I wonder how they're gonna blend it into the show. And again, we're supposed to be meeting all different types of characters. We still gotta meet Abomination again and go through that. So it's like, yeah, there's so much this show can do connecting to the outside of the MCU, but there's also so much they can do just within a show. And I feel like this is the type of show that's going to end up being multiple seasons. I think similar to Ms. Marvel, Hawkeye, Falcon Winter Soldier, and WandaVision all felt like, oh yeah, this is one-off story and then that's it, it's over. I feel, at least to me, it feels like this, Loki season 2, even Secret Invasions, when that comes out, I feel like these are shows that they're gonna try to do multiple seasons on, only because there's so much more storytelling you can tell with these characters, and you can also involve other characters in them in the later seasons of it, and I think that will build the world out more. And it also seems like in the show they're trying to build out the ground level characters like Daredevil, and I think that would be dope just to see what that whole life is like, even in a whole different coast of the world, right? Because a lot of times we're on the East Coast, we're in New York for the MCU, but now we're in California, and I think they're gonna play into that even more. I won't say maybe not in this show we see Ant-Man, but what if they do season 2, we see Ant-Man, Stature, or Shang-Chi, and we build like the West Coast Avengers through this show, right? And just have people appear every so often. And it's like, oh, we can build a lot here. Again, I'm getting ahead of myself. So let me give you guys my final rating for this episode. I'm gonna rank this out of 10. I think I'll give this first episode like an 8. It was fine. It was cool. It was pretty quick. I think it was like 35 minutes. It was funny. Like I said, I didn't come in with any crazy expectations. I just wanted to see what the show was gonna be about, and I'm excited to learn more about the show and kind of see what She-Hulk goes with things. Outside of that, like the show looks great. The chemistry between the characters and the friends seems so far is gonna be good. So yeah, I'm just excited to see what this journey takes us and what Marvel brings us in this series and how different this show is gonna be from others. But yeah, this is your boy, the Casual Nerd Day. I probably won't do every single episode, depending on how the episodes go. And obviously, if something crazy happens or it's like a big reveal, I'll come back and drop another video about this show. I think my plan is gonna be, I'm gonna do the first episode, obviously, and then I'm gonna do like a middle episode. I think this show is supposed to have 8 to 9 episodes. So if it's 8, I'll probably come back around episode 4 and then do episode 8, the finale. But this is your boy, the Casual Nerd Day here, and I hope you guys come back for another episode. Make sure you like and leave a comment down below if you enjoyed what I talked about. And if you want me to do every single episode, leave it down in the comments and let me know. I'll see you guys in the next episode. Deuces.